All right, this next one's a good one, and it's from our region here. It's one of those that we may have all thought it, but this guy actually did it, and then the question becomes, did the punishment fit the quote-unquote crime? Liberty or tyranny? Well, William Barboza, a man from Connecticut, he got a speeding ticket back in 2012. Now, what's the name of the town where he received the ticket? Liberty, New York. I know it well. Well, a frustrated Mr. Barboza, he sent back his ticket payment, but in a fit of anger, and I'm not sure the best amount of prudence here, he crossed out the town's name and replaced it with a name that he found more fitting, Tyranny. So he sent the check, but he also sent a little note. Then added a profanity-laced little note to make himself clear in case there was any confusion. So while the check might have been for the right amount, what else he put in, well, that didn't go over so well. And it didn't go over so well specific to a certain Justice Brian Rourke. He told Mr. Barboza that his payment had been rejected and that he would be ordered to appear back in court. And by the way, it's a couple-hour ride back up here to Liberty, okay, or tyranny, as Mr. Barboza called it. Well, Mr. Barboza shows up at the hearing. He received a lecture about the foul language and was then arrested. He was charged with aggravated assault and handcuffed to a bench in a police station, aggravated harassment, excuse me. He was eventually released on bail a few hours later. Now, the charges were eventually dismissed, but now the New York Civil Liberties Union and another law firm, they are suing on behalf of Mr. Barboza. Now, the lead counsel in the case said, quote, "Not liking somebody's speech isn't a reason to arrest him. You cannot be arrested and prosecuted for writing a note of displeasure on a traffic ticket as long as you are not threatening anyone. Public officials have to put up with offensive language." All right. Now, I would hope, you know, my kids, if they ever get a ticket, would know enough to shut up and not run their mouth to a cop, let alone run your mouth to a judge. But should there be a penalty more than stupidity if you're going to curse or you're going to show not just disrespect but offense to a level of authority here? What do you think?
Yes, there should be, but you said you're familiar with Liberty. I went to college in Cortland, New York.
Speed trap,
it's a speed trap.
Absolutely.
Brother Richard, we're on the same page. I have received about 8 speeding tickets going back and forth to college.
I knew exactly what that courthouse looks like, yes.
Between exit 99 on Route 17 and exit 103.
And you got to show up, too.
And you got to show up. And you got to show up. And the state troopers, you stop for McDonald's and they're waiting for you. But anyway, two sides to this coin. And small communities like Liberty in New York, judges do whatever they want, and 9 times out of 10 they get away with it. But the same way I advise the city of San Diego or the Archdiocese in San Diego to get a good lawyer, I advise Liberty, the city of Liberty, to get a good lawyer as well, because they're going to need it to pay off this man.
But the question then still comes down to is, a judge, if there is every symbol of authority that we have, whether it's a town judge or whatever else, you know, you say, "Yes, Your Honor." They make you stand up. You can't sit down. You take off your hat if you're talking to the judge. You don't run your mouth to the judge. And you also don't slap your attorney on the rear end, as Ocho Cinco learned, okay? There is levels of decorum and practicality. Now, I don't think anybody thinks the guy should have arrested the guy and put him literally with handcuffs to a rail in the courtroom. But the point is, should you be able to curse at a judge in a note if you're writing a check? Should that be admissible behavior?
You know, I agree with you. You tell your children this is absolutely not a good idea. Don't do it. But that is far different than the idea that it is unconstitutional or illegal or a violation. You should be able to write on a ticket without being handcuffed and arrested and thrown into jail. I agree with Dominic. They are going to need an attorney on this one. The question is always public safety. Was he inciting people to riot? Was he somehow threatening the judge? Was he somehow inciting violence in the community? The answer to all of those is no. Barring that, you can say what you want.
No, that's not true.
Yes, that is true.
No, that's not true.
Yes,
because
it is true.
You walk into any courtroom in this country, and if you curse directly at a judge, you're probably going to be sanctioned by the bench.
But he wasn't cursing directly at a judge.
I understand.
What's the difference? Writing it on a note or saying it to the judge's face?
Okay, but if we're gonna be technical here, that ticket goes to a clerk. It doesn't go to the judge. Ultimately, that's what a lawyer is going to argue. That's exactly what the lawyer's going to argue. And
keep
I don't have that
it
problem
and
at all.
you know what?
If
No,
you think I got an
that's
issue
true.
with stop and frisk, can you imagine if I said that to a judge?
People
What would happen to
Stop
me?
and curse with Dominic
There'll
Carter.
be some form of slapping and contempt and Dominic Carter in the same
People
sentence.
have been
Yeah.
able to walk into courthouses with bad words written on their jackets, and they have been proven by the Supreme Court that is constitutional and allowable under the First Amendment. So yes, if you
I
are
got
inciting
judges who
violence,
threaten to hold me in contempt when my cell phone goes off. I mean, that's
yes, well, that's a disturbance. That's different.
Well, you're a professional pain in the you-know-what, so I can see that coming.
and an amateur.
So
too.
the person walked in with the file link. Were they African American?
But 53, 55, Andrew.
But,
Yeah.
but what about like a cop during if you're being pulled over at that point, and if you drop an F-bomb to the cop?
It depends on
you
the
will get-
context.
Yes, you
It
will.
depends on the
Yes, you will, but you
context.
shouldn't be arrested for it.
Although,
different rules for in
although
court, though. I
I'm
think.
not sure. Like, you shouldn't be, but could you be? I don't know. All right, we're going to wrap things up when we return. Stay with us. Hey, can you